Hi, this is Chris Bosch, and you're listening to Animal House Radio with Aaron and Dr. Mike.
Someone showed me that once. It is hilarious. And it's about spiders taking alcohol. They did a study with spiders, giving them a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of cocaine. It's Spiders on Drugs on YouTube. Check it out. It's quite funny.
I'm not giving a spider cocaine.
Anyway, it's quite funny. So.
To continue on with this, we're going to continue on with this. And as always, I'd like to involve every single week one of our favorite guests on the show. From the Toronto Animal Services in the city of Toronto, Nicola! How are you? How are you?
I'm laughing. I've seen that
the Spiders on Drugs
documentary.
It is hilarious. It's the Who's Who guy. You remember the Who's Who when we were kids, where they were talking? Yeah, where they were talking about.
Nicola, I'm going to continue on with my Believe It or Not. Now, once again, sorry, I'm going to repeat my last thing. Did you hear it? A tiny amount of liquor put on a scorpion will make it go instantly mad, and it will sting itself to death.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Believe it or not.
Now, here's another one. Most lipstick contains fish scales.
That I knew.
Did you know that?
Really?
I didn't know that.
This is why I don't wear lipstick.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of fish.
Wow. I mean, do you know why? What I'm going to go look it up. Why would they use fish scales? I mean, does it...
brings out the color.
Iridescence, maybe?
Oh, the iridescence. No, that would be it. Yes, the iridescence. Very good.
That's just
that works for me. Yep.
The next, believe it or not, is all porcupines float in water.
It's good to know.
Did you know that?
That's important.
Screw life.
If you're drowning, grab onto a porcupine. That's
screw life
jackets. Who did that study?
I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. If the Titanic had porcupines on the boat, a lot of people wouldn't have died.
Oh, this guy's nuts.
They would have had, people would have had cuts in their hands.
Hey, Nicola, do you want to be the new co-host? You come on down. Get out here. I'll call in. You hang out.
There's a bunch of guys somewhere drinking too much in the weekend and a bunch of porcupines and...
Yeah, they're from Alabama. They're like, yeah, let's go put some porcupines in the water, see what happens. Yeah.
Nicola,
that's pretty much what my image was. Yeah, right there.
Now, hold on. I just want to tell you, you'll appreciate this one. You know, the funniest thing that I hear is when these reps come in for these flea products and they tell you these studies they did on, how many fleas hop into a dog. Like, you're sitting there thinking, are these guys counting millions of fleas? I picture these researchers. I mean, it just blows my mind that they come up with this data that I just think someone had to sit and count all the fleas on this dog one by one and come up that the average was, 4,265 fleas. Anyway, just that always blows my mind.
Now, the last, believe it or not, when a frog swallows a meal, his bully eyeballs will close and go down his head. Why? This is because his eyeballs apply pressure and actually push a frog's meal down his throat. Believe it or not, it's true.
There you go.
Did you know that, Nicola?
I think I'm seeing a link here between drugs and animals and the people who study them.
And watch out. If you see a moose, they've got really bad vision and they'll try to mate with cars. So look out. That's the truth. It's weird animal facts. So we're talking to Nicola from the city of Toronto, and big congratulations to Toronto Animal Services that have officially come back on to Animal House Radio to almost the end of the year 2009. Congratulations, Nicola. You're going to be joining us every week till almost the end of the year.
Thrilled.
So what you're saying is we're doing some great publicity, and I will never have a life till next year on a Friday night.
Yeah, pretty much. You're screwed. But think of the positives. You're saving animal lives. That's the most important thing.
It's true. It's an awesome opportunity to get a little bit of information out there and chat with you guys. So it's a wonderful thing.
Appreciate it. That's sweet.
I'm all teary.
I know. Let's have a group hug.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you
go. goody.
So what's new this week? Any cool stories for us?
Nothing particularly cool as yet, but give us a few weeks, and certainly if this nice weather continues, we will have some.
What's up with the new weather? Any changes in the shelter and adoptions? Are more people coming in now that it's nicer out?
It doesn't so much affect the adoptions. What it does affect is the field service. Little breaks in winter weather sometimes will confuse wildlife, and they'll think, oh, it's spring, I'm going to come out. And so we've seen a little bit of wildlife getting into a bit of trouble lately. Certainly a year or two ago when spring came way too early, the wildlife were really confused. Even the Toronto Wildlife Center was saying, hey, everybody's off schedule. They're coming out too early. It was a bit of a mess, but other than that, not too much. We still have. I just checked our stats citywide. We have 88 lovely kitties looking for new homes, about a dozen or so dogs, and then a handful of what we call miscellaneous. Wow. Those are your pocket pets, your rabbits, and things like that. So we still need the foot traffic. So, it is nice. It's a nice weekend. It's a family day. Come down to one of the facilities. If you've been looking for a pet, it's a great time to get familiar with the process and come down and see if perhaps we have a match for you and your family.
Now, being Friday the 13th, did you adopt out a lot of black cats today? Or
because you're not allowed to do it on Halloween.
Yeah.
So.
Was today a big black cat adoption day?
Anytime there's a little kind of superstitious holiday, whether it's today, Halloween, we pretty much we don't want to say we don't adopt them out, but we do take extra precautions.
Gotcha.
We're really well versed in who's who and what's what and what people are up to. And if we think for any reason, whether it be sinister reasons or just inappropriate reasons, that it's not an appropriate match, or perhaps a person or family isn't ready for the commitment, we'll deal with that. But if a wonderful family comes in and falls in love with one of our black cats, of course it's going to go to a great home. And so, like you say, we're well aware of what can go on at these kind of times, and certainly we do keep that in the back of our mind.
Now, the topic that we have today, Nicola, I like saying that. Our topic today is obviously declawing. This is the part, it's part 2 of our 3-part series. Now, what I have to ask you now, in terms of yourself and in terms of the city when adopting cats, what is your policy for declaw cats? I mean, do you guys say, hey, listen, we're not letting you adopt anybody, any of our cats, if you think that you're going to declaw them?
Yeah, it's something we address during the interview. And some people say, yeah, we're going to do the declawing thing. Our staff really do sit down with those people and say, listen, here's some things you may not know. They discuss the procedure and really ways to avoid having to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And we talk about, trimming claws and having scratching posts and toys and so on, so that they can appropriately, display that behavior without tearing apart your new sofa. A lot of it comes down to misinformation. And we're pretty good at getting people to understand that it's not a nice process. We do not have a policy per se. We deal with it case by case. We're certainly not an advocate of it. But at the same time, there's no citywide policy.
Sure.
Sometimes we do have cats come in already declawed, and certainly if someone is adamant about wanting a cat that doesn't have those front claws, we may already have one that's gone through the procedure. I know. Now I was trying to listen in, but my radio wasn't picking you up. What were your thoughts?
Obviously, if you don't have to, I say not. I'm a big believer in the human-animal bond, and in my clinic, you get the odd cat, and we all know them. Like I said, it's just like the odd kid who doesn't matter what you do, scratching posts, teach them this, trim their claws, blah blah blah. They're going to be very destructive, not only to people but to people's houses. And instead of giving them up or sending them out on the streets, in those scenarios, you do what you have to do. But otherwise, 90% of the time when we talk to kitten owners, it's, teach them about the trimming the nails, what you said, the scratching post, so on and so forth. We go over it all. And, in an ideal world, it'd be great if we didn't have to. My big thing is, if we have to, then I, as a veterinarian, want all veterinarians to do it the right way. I mean, I think of the way, and I'm going to talk about this later, the way I did it 17 years ago. It scares me to think of how I did it 17 years ago, and that's not because I was a bad person. That's just because back then we didn't know what we know today.
Right.
And what scares me is I still know that our veterinarians that are declawing the way I did 17 years ago. That disturbs me. So I would almost
brutal process.
But I was talking to a listener last week who said, "Hey, it's just bad," and I said, "Well, come to my clinic, hang out, watch it being done, watch the way they wake up afterwards, go home with the cat for the next 2 or 3 days and watch the way he recovers at home, and you might be pleasantly surprised."
And I think in general, when you look at it from my perspective as someone in the middle, I think you would see that, there are pros and cons on both sides. And as long as something is being done, regardless if it's acceptable in certain people's minds or if it's not, if it's being done the right way, I think that's addressed. It's being done the right way. You're doing it the right way. It's like there can never be a really good divorce But
No.
if the parents can come together and do what's best for the children, it always comes out great.